Hello world, my name is Stephen Hensley. Today is March 15th, 2020. It's 11:04 a.m. and the intention, expectation, or will for this video or event are just to try to create an expectation around catharsis and holisticism and trying to get stuff off my chest and starting over, like kind of my own personal interpretation or a ritual or spelling of like a born again Christian. So I feel like I've been blacked out most of my life. Like I remember being a kid and moving into my mom and dad's boarding care home, and then things getting really kind of stressful and getting lost into video games and the internet and movies, and then 9/11 happening, and then I got really into well then I got really into Photoshop and stuff like that. Sometime after that, my mom left, and I got really into stealing shit off the internet and just being kind of a really angry person. I've been suicidal majority all my life, and it's never really gone away. I've had torturous night terrors and nightmares, and kind of a schizophrenic hallucinations and stuff, I guess, during the day, dreaming awake. It's really disturbing. It's a really awful experience. I feel like I'm being raped constantly and tortured, like I'm in hell. And I don't trust my country or the country I was born into, or the social service or social servantry. I feel like there's a bunch of confusion and kind of diluted immature behavior in within a whole lot of medicine as I've seen it. I've gone to the doctor I don't know how many times, gone to the hospital I don't know how many times. None of it's really amounted to anything. Nothing has really been accomplished. And so I've been trying to study everything I can to present and create some sort of argument, like 2 and 4, an additive subtractive ethics statement, or ethics research project, or kind of a documentary thing, or activism around or an activist sort of multimedia social movement, kind of the Me Too movement. But I want it to be around like I said, multimedia, because I'm kind of curious as to societal expectations within a modern society, and what is ethics of kind of a multimedia, including interactive media like the internet and video games, and things like social networking and cryptocurrency. I'm just I feel really disappointed in the United States and its ethics and kind of like higher level uh, peering, like a kind of like a ivory tower sort of uh, false prophecy or kind of mismanaged uh, like religious efforts. I guess I don't really know how to put into dialect for an audience how I feel about it. But essentially, like I feel kind of abandoned or misled or uh, disorientedly confused or disoriented and confused about like a whole lot of social engineering and multimedia, like the American experiment, and like behavioral motivations and uh, like what are affirmations or affirmatives uh, for like Earth and for our country as far as what we're entertaining in mass for like migration and pastration, like think of it as if Earth is like like the utopianistic theory of everything, or your utopianistic theory of creation or whatever, of it being like essentially one kind of super organism that's like telescopic, holographic, and uh, kind of like a quantum. Um, Essentially, like the idea is that you have like a standard or a set consensus and framework of what is kind of like a family or like what is like uh, considered nature or normal in these times of economic tension and stress. um, I think like the biggest problem if we're gonna create like any sort of like a kind of like a false prediction that like kind of like it's playing fantasy football with the way like the economy is going and like the Wells Fargo banking crisis and all that stuff in the past. Uh, I feel like there's an economic bubble, like with national debt, and I feel like social media and networking is gonna be like one of the biggest uh, kind of regrets of our country or of recent history, and the fact that nobody is like really taking in consideration the efforts or like the energy they expend or like waste with kind of like the internet and video games and stuff like that sometimes. Essentially, like how there's no real sort of ethics study in education or any sort of uh, kind of rule set with the economy or any sort of uh, public strategy or tactical approach of how to kind of make a introduction or conclusion in sorry an introduction or conclusion in within the economy. Uh, in other words, like uh, to me, it's strange that you can't easily discover a credible resource, kind of like Harvard or higher education, in a platform that's closer to being like Nintendo Interactive Media and like Steven Spielberg, like Hollywood, um, especially with basic needs and like how to realize greater uh, complex systems through simplification and truncation, or like being able to work kind of like in mass on one project in the same way they're digitizing medical records and research. Um, and then like kind of just it's like a mass movement or effort. It's like I wish they would have done something with like that for the economy by now, and with like kind of ethics with social networking and kind of expressionism. It's kind of like petty and poor, immature and like neglectful or kind of ignorant to me. That like DARPA or Homeland Security and like uh, just a greater like religious kind of efforts or priest class. They haven't released any like modern that I'm aware of any modern religious texts or record or media to assist households, families, and societal communal efforts. Uh, we're just like a free ebook and a free like uh, kind of a like video resource on YouTube or something, or kind of like basically like an open invitation discussion or whatever, like about where are we going and like what are we doing to entertain that reality. And it's like what kind of theories or philosophies or blueprints are there for realizing or creating render creating and rendering creating and rendering or bringing manifest to uh, things that would otherwise be uh, different professional uh, levels and spectrums of trusts and information technologies or like copyrights and stuff. It's just like it's really kind of like unusually interesting to me that there's no free higher education, but there's things like Google and YouTube and Facebook. It's really just kind of like gross, and it's like I feel like there's either not enough of a mass propagation or popularity of what human uh, kind of potential and uh, kind of I guess intelligence or uh, kind of competency we actually have. I think it's like we're kind of entertained a little bit too much. At least like I feel like the family I was born to is of what like we are or are not capable of. I think there's a lot of psychosomatic like kind of mental or emotional and mental disorders and diseases. That a lot of them are hypochondriac or like whatever you want to say. It's like basically uh, self-inflicted and grossly and pervertedly enabled and supported in society. So there's a lot of like excuses and uh, kind of like support or pillars for uh, inappropriate and immature or juvenile kind of like acts in our society. and like I feel like extraordinarily humbled, but really, really very humiliated about like where I've kind of taken myself and how confused I've become. But like I said, that's why I want to create some sort of document or documentary sort of thing on kind of social engineering, multimedia, uh, software engineering, and like television and audio programming, like spectrums of what can essentially like language arts and suggestion, like kind of like influencers, or like kind of what is it that we're hoping to accomplish with uh, our image, and what is it actually uh, what are its toxins or detriments, like if you were to think of in like kind of a business philosophical way of Hollywood and multimedia and like the internet being kind of a like living phrases or organisms, but just in a simple way, kind of like a basically it's like it these organisms demand a nutrient or to be fed or supported and fostered, and they produce toxins or waste, and uh, that needs to be coped with or dealt with. So like same way as like a baby would need to be supported, and then like uh, they'll have like a lifespan or a timeline, and then like it'll just like kind of taper out or whatever. It has like a life expectancy. Um, kind of like essentially like create a simple system for attempting to identify physical anomaly, kind of like a modern uh, what's it called? I can't remember. What's it called? Um, a Richter scale and a Doppler, and kind of like a I don't know. There's a lot of like information technologies or systems that are really kind of like taken for granted that could save a lot of life and help a lot of life cope with things that it doesn't even really recognize. But like one of my favorited dreams for me is like I think it may have it partially came from the family I was born to, but like creating like a modern like a beeper, or like kind of like a mobile uh, game, or like a mobile smart device that's like a side chain, or like a kind of like a peripheral, or like an additive to other smart devices, kind of like it's a smart odometer or something, or step counter. uh, I want to basically create something that's kind of close to being like a they say like a beeper, or a Nintendo Micro, I think it is, like a mini Game Boy. But then it's like it's there for identifying different uh, like material objects and uh, meta tags or for creating meta tags and identifying uh, material and metaphysical objects. Kind of like image recognition from Google and TensorFlow. I'm so humiliated by like a lot of my nightmares and like a lot of the awful shit I've hallucinated or had believed in. Like I supposedly have schizophrenia. I feel like I've been being attacked through spirituality and like others' faith in God and religion. I think it's like I don't know. I have all these nightmares, like whether or not it's like connected to anything, or like it's because of like becoming sick because of 9/11 and stuff. I'm not super sure. I'm just like really, 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 really angry at the way I feel like I've been treated in the United States, and I don't know, I'm quite like insecure, frightened in how I don't know. I feel like ethics in this country isn't taken very seriously. I think language arts and its education is taken for granted too much, and the idea of like social engineering and multimedia, marketing, advertisement, and business is taken for granted too much, and like kind of like seen to it's taken as something like non-offensive or like nescient or negligible. Or something worth just kind of like passing over. I think there's a lot of like stuff that's gonna be popping up, kind of like that WikiLeaks sort of situation, or like the Hillary Clinton email gate or whatever it is, and like things like Anonymous or whatever. I just like or like really, I think what we're gonna be seeing is a lot of like Ponzi scheme, kind of like insider trading stuff, and like more like the Wells Fargo collapse, like bubbles. So like the housing market bubble. So like I've like kind of thought about again whether or not it is my family. I don't know. I feel like I'm being kind of like overly grateful, but I think it'd be neat to create like an information technology and like potentially hardware. Again, it's like kind of like the Richter scale and Doppler system. Essentially, it's like it uses like a fabric, kind of like the blockchain technology from cryptocurrency, to weigh activity on the internet and create like a readout, like it's a pie chart and flow chart, and treating the internet as if it's a like a living nervous system. So I want to see if I can create subtle or discover subtle like a kind of like a greater geometry and kind of like logic philosophies and logics and understandings of language. feel really, really, really angry because, like I said, I feel like I'm being attacked through spirit, through spirituality, and like I don't know how that is like at all like not discussed in society. It's discussed all over YouTube, like spiritual warfare, this like idea of war, the war on consciousness, with multimedia and marketing, advertisement, and uh, the unconscious, neurolinguistic programming, and metaphysics, psychology, epigenetics, and genetics, like genetic change and manipulation. So it's like there's a lot of like really, really fascinating social sciences and experiments going on, and a lot of stuff in within Hollywood and like the art, science, and like a public figuring space. So it's like I would like to create like a really, I think like what I would like is to create like a kind of morbid uh, religious expression. So it's like I kind of want to create stuff or like a kind of like a series, uh, kind of like a brand based off of a whole bunch of uh, other people's work, but like I'm looking for greater uh, cultural norms and stereotypes and like human values and conditions. Uh, but then like things like religious mechanics, like how how we operate kind of with our unconscious, with user experience design and like interactive media, like a software. So I don't know. I have a lot of like will to create kind of like a modern expression of like I want to create a modern game console and operating system, as well as like a multimedia production, publication, studio software and company, and like a whole bunch of stuff kind of like to do with free higher education and material resources. Even if I can't create free material resources in any other way than like digital resources like ebooks or whatever, it'd still be cool to create like affordable or low cost higher education and material resources. Um, and like uh, it's going to greatly revolve around kind of like American like I guess like American liberties and kind of human potential. So essentially, like I want to create kind of like an on-demand service like Netflix or Hulu or something. Um, but to have it like have a starting tier, which means it's like I want it to be like 3 or 5 or whatever tiered system. It's just like there's a free introductory kind of like space like Facebook, but then it's like there's like a $10 a month thing or like a $50 a month thing and so on and so forth. And then I want to like create like a brand and container company just to house and hold like or use as like a trust for material resources and I want to create it to be like a philosophical brand and company, so I can use it as like the proverbial uh, frog or toad or whatever for uh, science lab and dissection. So it's like I basically want to create like a virtual uh, body or organism that represents like a business, uh, kind of like a maybe like a 3D model, like a 3D model of a car. So it's like I think I want to build like a 3D uh, model of a car, and maybe even like I would like it to be like a smart car, like an RC car that you can use your smart device, like your iPhone or whatever, to connect with. But like the model itself is more of an excuse or a kind of like an object to like I guess like kind of express and use as a tool for like self image and intrinsic and extrinsic values and kind of like a kind of like a little bit like a dot on a map like you'd see in a mall, and then to uh, to work with reflectively or holographically the container company and brand or business. So basically, you can build and break down and re-engineer and reverse engineer this model car and like it's Legos, but then it's like it's an exercise for uh, kind of like public speaking and uh, kind of like a sleight of hand misdirection, showmanship sort of kind of entrepreneurial what's called chivalry thing. So um, I want to learn what kind of efforts or kind of strategies and tactics I can develop, build up, and uh, model or uh, engineer and create to defend me against like a identity theft and kind of having like been just like a fuck up on the internet like my entire life. So it's like I'm kind of interested in what that means, like with all the Edward Snowden kind of anonymous stuff and cyber war and what is it like what's it called? I don't know. Essentially, like I feel kind of let down by like Homeland Security or DARPA and like the American military and government. I feel like people have been abandoned, and like I hate the fact that like I feel they'll like create like an experiment, like a social experiment, kind of like it's a movie, to create themselves to be like a false, uh, idealized, idealized and idealistic kind of like a savior figure or hero, kind of like it's Hollywood. It's through an entertainment, so it's like it's like a social production and engineering experiment. But then like there's no way to like argue with the momentum of language and paperwork and like all the gatekeepers and resistance or entropy trying to share or bring forward your concerns as a citizen in the United States or probably everywhere. Um, I just don't really know how to kind of create or make an approach uh, like to like politicians, I guess, or politics and stuff, and raise up my concerns as a citizen or as like a voice or like a dependent, to say like I need help or whatever. Um, but to like I kind of feel as though I've come so far, have come this far, that I may as well just kind of try to do something, add an inspiration, uh, and as a sacrifice to kind of like the art and science community that I'm concerned about, and like the economy or like economic efforts and studies of theoretical physics and philosophy, like a societal expectation and responsibility, like social, economic, and societal responsibility and expectations, or whatever it is. I have a lot to learn, but I want to see if I can develop and create like again, it's like a greater hallucination or entertainment for myself by like childish dreams or fantasy or whatever it is. But create like a multimedia series, uh, but to entertain and educate people on ethics and uh, social responsibilities like that, and economy and activism, like how to be an appropriate and effective activist, but then dress it up in an aesthetic of it being like a superhero, kind of like like a modern Superman. I'm just not sure what to do about it. Like, I like the concept, the story of like a kind of like an Aladdin like character. Uh, that's like kind of like a young entrepreneur and social activist, kind of like Banksy, the graffiti artist, and like Eminem and stuff like that. Um, but I want to create like a modern personification and like a science fiction story or series about something that like seems really spiritually popular, uh, but then like I want to create it to be like sort of religiously offensive and kind of like uh, planned planned obsolescence, so form of degrading, uh, or degradation, whatever it is. Like I kind of want to create like a Playboy comic book, uh, graphic novel and multimedia production publication on demand like service, and I wanted to be like a kind of like a equilibrium, or like a kind of like a balancing act around live action role playing and lifestyle design, uh, with like dating and economy as kind of like a bit of an attractor or like an allure. Uh, so it's like I want to create like like a mixed reality live action role playing game uh, that creates or helps you create consensual social engineering experiments like flash mobs and magic tricks, uh, but also helps you to achieve a certain status in society and a certain sense of economic and material freedoms and abundance or wealth and well-being through like industrial uh, role fulfillment, uh, kind of like arcade games. So it's like I want to create like a creative platform that like college, university, uh, and like a workforce and like or like a basically like business and working class can use to develop uh, kind of like vetting and conditioning and grooming for certain roles uh, in the industry. So in other words, you can play like a game kind of like it's like The Sims, and then like that will get you potentially a job interview or an interview at the college or like whatever. And I want to use it for like supplemental resource, kind of like food stamps, uh, but also like a thing for maybe being able to have like a simple path to uh, like student loans and uh, what's it called, grants. So it's like there's a lot of things that can be done. There's a lot of stuff that people have come up with and shared kindly on the internet. Um, and so it's like I want to create like a like I said, like a modern, like a masked vigilante, uh, anti-hero, like superhero character, kind of like Deadpool, um, but or anonymous. But I want the costume to represent like a protest, right? Which I think is pretty fair. Um, kind of like an implicit or implied uh, like statement or whatever. Um, but fuck. That's like I don't like uh, I don't like a lot of human qualities that exist in within society. And so basically, I want to see if I can create like a multimedia uh, thing where I can free express things that are like a bother to me, to see if I can create some sort of resolve or conclusion for myself and my audience, as well as like kind of like some sort of growth past kind of like I said, like character traits and human values and stuff. Um, I just don't know like what to really start with just yet. uh, I kind of want my story to be like a modern, uh, like comedy version of the X Files a little bit. I think it'd be kind of fun. Um, and to like a magic version of 007 as well.